What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base.
Welcome to the Go Use Australia podcast. It's the podcast for Australian shooters who just want the political interference taken out of shooting.
Welcome to another episode of Gun News Australia, brought to you by Politics Reloaded and Gun Traders Australia. And you can support our work by becoming a member of Politics Reloaded at our website, politicsreloaded.com, or backing us through Patreon at patreon.com/Politics Reloaded. And I have with me Wayne Lopaten from WA. How are you doing, Wayne?
Good, thank you, Neil.
You got a bit of a story for us today. And just to start off with, what do you do for work?
I'm a general manager of a manufacturing business. We manufacture turf equipment. So we do a lot of steel fabrication. We also have a shop front, which we do lawnmower repairs and sales of outdoor equipment.
Sure. And in the shooting world, what are your shooting interests?
I'm a recreational shooter when I have time. But my main passion is collecting firearms, antique military-style firearms.
And you're obviously doing it for quite a long time too.
I have been 20-odd years of collecting in WA, yes.
Okay. So the reason why we're talking today is because you came to me with a pretty amazing story about the new firearms legislation in place in WA. A little thing that no one else had picked up on, which I think is quite extraordinary. Would you like to just talk us through what that discovery is?
Okay. Because I have a fairly reasonable size collection of firearms, which is all legitimate, and it always has been legitimate, and the firearms department know exactly what I have. The new legislation, I decided to start off with what I needed to do to become compliant. One of which was security of where the firearms are held. And the secondly is the storage of the firearms. Now, all of my firearms cabinets are according to the Australian standard that the WA Police Department have used in the past. So I decided to have a look and see what the Australian standard stated, as the West Australian Police Force had mentioned in their
well, I've got it right here.
sheet.
Yep, I've got it right here. So I'm just going to quickly pull it up. Let's be very, very clear about what's happening here. So this is the information flyer from WA Pol. And
Correct.
Yep, all the storage requirements, from everything from level 1 right through to strong rooms and secure rooms. So it's very clear that they're saying that these are the requirements. And the standard that you're talking about is this one here, Australian Standard New Zealand 3809 from 1998. In fact, that's for all levels. It's level 1 storage, it's the normal 3mm steel cabinet. So if you've got a 22 rabbit gun, that's what you've got to have. And that's then it's the same standard for level 2, 3, and strong rooms. So obviously, the parts of the standard will have different parts to it, but it is in the one standard.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay. So would you like to keep going then?
Okay. So trying to find out what the WA Police Force are chasing regarding storage and security, I have emailed the WA Firearms Department to ask specifically the specifications that they are requiring for these new gun cabinets. Is in the information sheet, storage and security from the police force. Level 1 states 3mm cabinet, 6mm door. No mention of hinges, locks, how many hold downs, nothing. And in the next sentence, it states the Australian standard. And so on for level 2. Level 2 is a 6mm gun cabinet with a 10mm door, 10mm thick door. So I downloaded the Australian standards, and yes, without a doubt, yes, the Australian standard is there. The problem being,
before you talk, I'm going to pull the online version up so you can talk to that. So
yep.
This is what you looked up, and what can you tell me about it?
Well, basically, you can see the Australian standards number, and when it was introduced, 1998, its status is withdrawn. Now, it was published in 1998, and it was withdrawn in 2019. So that states that it is basically no longer in existence. It's still there, but it's not relevant.
It has no effect. And part of the problems that the police have with this. Now, let's be clear, just for those who may not be aware, that I'll get on to what the Act and the regulations say in a second. But if the police are saying you must comply with this requirement and the standards basically withdrawn, that creates a huge hole in any argument they've got, quite obviously. But the other thing is that standard is actually in the Firearms Act itself, and usually they have a provision that say as published or replaced, whatever, from time to time. They haven't done that here. They've hardwired that standard,
correct,
which was withdrawn before they even started writing the new Act, into the Act and the regulations. And changing regulations is one thing. You need to get a minister to go through a process to do that. But changing an Act requires basically Parliament to change it.
Yeah.
Joining a Patreon channel means you'll see episodes of Gun News Australia as soon as they come out, which means you'll see them before they're released more widely. Plus, we release weekly updates exclusively for members and supporters of Politics Reloaded. It's a great way to support our work while getting the news you want to hear. So sign up now on our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Politics Reloaded.
So look, basically what they've used is the old standard that they used in the previous gun laws in WA, and all they've done is tacked on a little bit saying that the cabinet has now got to be 3mm thick with a 6mm door, but no testing. Where is the testing? Level 2, 6mm cabinet, 10mm door. Where is the testing? If you go into the Australian standard, they go through all of the aspects of how the cabinets were tested to establish this particular Australian standard. Now, in the standards of Australian regulation regarding the cabinets, they go through all of the types of equipment used to test it, e.g. a jackhammer, an oxy torch, an angle grinder, and numerous other bits and pieces. Angle grinder, they state as, I think from memory, 400 watts to 600 watts. That's 240 volts. Everybody that I've spoken to regarding breaking and entering, including police, they use battery-operated angle grinders. There is no mention of battery-operated grinders in the Australian standard that the police are quoting.
Yep.
So, massive hole.
It's such a big hole that police can't prosecute people now for breaching the regulations, because, I mean, they can try, but basically I can see, now I'm not a lawyer, but I can see that the case will be thrown out if the requirement is that you rely with a non-existent standard.
And as for the email that I've sent the Firearms Department in WA, I have no response. Nobody has returned any information, not even acknowledging, oh, you must use Australian standard such and such. Nothing. There has been absolutely no response from the police department whatsoever. Now, surely this is a massive part of these gun laws is storage and security. But yet we have nothing.
Okay, so we are going to just go back to the regulations and just so we can actually show what is we're talking about here. And that is, this is the standard, Australian Standard 3809 1998. It's in the definition, which is was pulled up in basically the flyer, but also you will find that, that's that reference and no other reference is sprinkled right through the regulations. Mm-hmm. So this is a big problem if police want to prosecute. It's a hole in the law, which brings me on to another little point. And we were just talking a little while ago about Kate Fantinel, who's raised a lot of money to fight the state's new gun laws. She's hired King's Counsel, who's the best in the land, and apparently delivered a big document that talks about all the flaws with the Act, but I'm not aware that they've actually picked this one up. So maybe Mr. King's Counsel, you might want to pick this one up. But anyway, that's me having on my little soapbox. Commercially made safes. Tell me about them and what this means.
To be able to manufacture something in Australia, and we'll use gun safes as an example, you must have basic specifications of what they are wanting. And that would be type of hinge, whether it be internal, external, what type of locks, how many locks, how they're supposed to be held down, what they're supposed to be bolted to. And we refer back to that Australian standard, which it has, as we've said before, it has been withdrawn. And I will go a little bit further with that. It goes into age standards review. And this is from the Australian standards. The withdrawal status indicates that the standard is no longer relevant. The Standards Australia will not undertake further work to maintain or update a withdrawn standard. So basically what they're saying is it's no longer relevant and they're not going to do anything about updating it. That's it. It's finished. But it's still there, but it's out of date.
Which means anybody who makes safes is not going to be looking to that standard because it's withdrawn. So therefore, even if they made the change to the regs and updated all this, there just simply won't be the stock. Certainly nothing guarantees compliance with that standard.
Well, the way I see it at the moment, if there are people out there manufacturing gun safes supposedly for the new WA gun laws, are they compliant or are they not compliant? And what are they compliant to?
Sounds like the old Bunnings gun safes might be back in vogue.
Well, I've no doubt there's going to be a lot of them on the market very, very cheaply, very, very shortly.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that common sense prevails and the WA government realise that what they've done is wrong and they need to halt everything, including, the need for security and gun safes to the standard that to what they think they want. But again, we have nothing on paper of what they really want.
It's actually careless what's happened here. They, I guess the government's been telling us that the rewrite of the Act took place sometime in the last couple of years. I don't know exactly when it started, but it sounds like they've just done a copy and paste from maybe some previous version. They have not done a cover-to-cover review. Certainly their legal team, that's their job. So it might be that the policy people set out what they want, but they hand it over to the internal lawyers, and then when police have finished with it, it actually, in most jurisdictions, it goes to a Parliamentary Counsel. That is the council basically that does work for Parliament to make sure legislation's absolutely watertight, and none of this got picked up.
No, it hasn't. How can this be so? How on earth can we have this massive new legislation that has got holes in it everywhere, that the police department will not back off from, the WA government will not back up on, but there are serious flaws all the way through. There's a review committee going ahead now, and there are many, many suggestions from many organisations that it needs to be halted now before any other damage is done. They've already taken out 150,000 rifles, according to the WA government, since they've brought this legislation in. Now, that's around about 10% of the guns that are in WA. Now, you know, how far is it going to go?
The review is an interesting thing that the committee's only got probably a few weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks left to finish its report before it goes back to Parliament. And the information I have is that, and this comes from people who are much closer to this process, is that you can expect the government to ignore.
Yes, that's exactly what they will do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have to fight the fight in other ways. I'm still maintaining, sure, you can go down the legal path and all that, but I think the political action, even though the next election is not for another, 3.5 years, it's depressing to say that, but that's, you've got to get the skates on now and start causing pain to pretty much every Labor Party MP out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the show and breaking that news for us.
My pleasure, Neil, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
No problem. Okay.
Bye for now.
See you later. Bye-bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gun News Australia. And if you're a supporter through Patreon, you'll get access to early release of the episodes as soon as they're uploaded. And you'll also get access to our Friday night live streams. So to support our work, simply go to patreon.com/politics reloaded or use the QR code on the screen, or see the description in this episode for details.